All right, peace and blessings, everybody. It's November the 6th, the year 2017, Monday. Got a few letters in from Mike Parsons today. I want to go ahead and knock them out and get them up on YouTube. They've also been posted on yearofjubilee.com. You can go to list of other prisoners. Let me just show you guys that real quick. If you go to list of other prisoners, you hit the more button that says other prisoners, and you scroll down. You're going to see Mike Parsons. He's at West Tennessee Detention Facility. If you keep scrolling down, you're going to see his picture along with his wife. I don't know if that's their son or possibly a friend. Then we have letters from prison, one of two. And there's many, many letters from Mike Parsons already. So if you scroll down, you're going to see the letters that I'll read tonight if you want to download them yourselves. One of them is Mike Parsons' letter to Logan, and the other one is Mike Parsons' letter to Haslam. So let's go ahead and read those. This is the envelope it came in. Looks like it was written on October the 23rd, 2017. It says, "Greetings, Logan. Thanks for taking the time to write me a letter. Before I reply to some of your questions, I need to ask how you came to hear about me. I never assume someone's knowledge of any subject, especially when it comes to the corruption in government we are all having to deal with. I would appreciate knowing if you have been to my website, mikeparsons.org, and if so, have you read the part regarding an international court exonerates Mike Parsons? If you have read their reasons for judgment, you are aware of the abuse of power and criminal attacks against me and my family because I dare to run for county executive when the government system refused to hold those who were terrorizing my family accountable, because I dared to expose how they rigged the election and then how they rigged the court to railroad me into prison. I see your reference to Christ as our Savior, but remember, if we are true followers of Christ, our demonstration of that would be to expose and overturn evil and corruption as Christ did in his time. Sadly, the corporate governments and 501c3 churches are businesses focused on money, power, and control. As Christ, I too know the cost of walking as he did. Today is no different than in the days of Christ. Caesar, the government, demands two things. In Christ's days, it was that everyone declare Caesar is Lord and pay taxes. Today, it is the government that demands everyone declare they are the authority and pay taxes. The word Lord has been defined many ways, including creator of the universe, ruler, and ultimate authority. The word sovereign has the same definitions. In an effort to steal power from the people who originally created the government to those running government, they had to demonize the idea of the people being sovereign. The term sovereign citizen was created by the FBI to do just that. Now to answer your questions. My favorite food is anything Miss Parsons makes. Number 2, I enjoy all fruits in their season. Number 3, there are many good movies that speak to many of life's experiences, but the Christmas movie It's a Wonderful Life with Jimmy Stewart is one of the best, since it speaks to the consequences if we were never there to do the right thing. The place becomes a Pottersville. 4, I think Earth simply because it is where I am. I can make a difference here. 5, I like all vegetables we grow in our garden when in season. 6, I like both daytime and nighttime. I work in the day and rest at night. 7, I think wolves are the greatest family companion animals. 8, the food here is lacking in minerals, amino acids, and basic nutrition required to sustain life. At Tipton County Jail I just came from, I lost 30 pounds in 4 months via starvation. At 56 years of age, 6'5" tall, I was 195 pounds with no body fat upon entry, and 168 pounds when I left Tipton County Jail. They are very evil, but it's not the evil people that's the problem. It's the ones who call themselves followers of Christ that look the other way and do nothing. That's how innocent people like me who expose and overturn evils end up in a place like this. Thanks again for your letter, and please write when you can, and please let me know where you heard about me. God bless. And then he goes on to write, remember, Pat will be sentenced on December the 1st, 2017. She was extorted into pleading to a crime she did not commit, but only so she could care for our animals another 3 months. It would have killed us both to have them killed or split up by the Tipton County. She could be sentenced to 20 years after 25 years as an engineer with the same company. She is fired. She is... I can't read that word. Let me look at it again. She is something. She is in... I can't read it. It's that word right there, in ho coat. Please pray, speak out, and ask we the people, to ask President Trump to exercise his power. And then it goes on to say, greeting Rudy and Aaron. I thought you might like to know I have received letters as far away as Nuremberg, Germany, and from a viewer of your YouTube channel. We are who are pre-teen. Some of these words are hard to read. I am responding to each and every one as I can, and until my stamps run out. Here you don't actually get stamps. They meter postage and deduct the cost from your account. Thanks to a donation from a viewer in Houghton, Kansas. Now I know who that is. He's a very generous man, by the way. I can reply with, oh my goodness, letters like this, and a few other luxuries like coffee and socks. If God's people would stand with Miss Parsons and I, we may not have to live out our days in a concrete 7-Eleven. God bless. All right, that's the first letter. Let's bring up the second letter. All right, here's the same letter, and this one is to Governor Haslam. Greetings, Governor Haslam. In 1998, Miss Parsons and I bought a small family farm and began building our dream home. However, in 2006, after years of being terrorized with being shot at, 4 of our pets being murdered, and witnessing the Tipton County government corruption and cover-ups, I ran for county executives. News reports indicated I had won by a landslide, but the next day the votes were flipped, and when I discovering how the tabulation was rigged, I sued to void the election. Being a county-wide election, this would have resulted in new elections for county executive, sheriff, judges, district attorney, district public defender, county clerk, county register, constables, county commissioners, and school board members. Although I filed suit in the Chancery Court, the circuit court judge who was on the ballot I was suing to void, and thereby a conflict of interest, illegally acted as a Chancery judge and denied my subpoena of evidence proving the votes were flipped and dismissed the suit. I appealed. In 2007, during the appeal, an unknown man who was a friend of the county executive I was suing over the election attacked my family without provocation. The perpetrator shot 29 times at Miss Parsons and I and our pet Brandy. From 100 yards away, his spray of 29 bullets flew past our heads and hit Brandy in the back as she stood in front of me. I held her as she took her last breaths, and she died in my arms. The perpetrator then hid his rifle in the back of a truck and at the direction of his accomplice. The two refused to drop their pistol, refused to submit to a citizen's arrest, and walked away. I confiscated the rifle and gave it to the deputies, but despite my report of the crimes committed against my family and I, they called the General Session Judge, also on the ballot I was suing to void, and he ordered them to arrest me. When deputies asked him what the charges was, he said, "I'll think of something and tell him in the morning." Clearly, the deputies calling a judge on a Saturday night at 7 p.m. indicated this was not protocol. The next day, the judge charged me with aggravated assault for having a gun, which I had to permit to carry, and the man who shot at us and killed Brandy received no charges. In 2008, at the preliminary hearing, the same judge who charged me ruled on his own charge against me, despite the perpetrator admitting he initiated the attack without provocation. Other than he was mad, I was suing his friend, the county executive. Then the perpetrator's original Then the perpetrator's original signed statement indicating he was the aggressor without cause, that I was acting in self-defense, was replaced days later with a new one with facts he could not even remember. The assistant district attorney would later claim the perpetrator's memory got better with time. I was then indicted by a grand jury that was handpicked by the election commission office manager, who was appointed by the county executive I was suing over the rigged election. The jury foreman's signature was the only one on the indictment, and he was handpicked by the circuit judge in violation of a state statute requiring random selection of the foreman. Apparently, he has been randomly selected for over 20 years in a row. In 2009, I was forced to stand trial before another handpicked jury selected by the same election commission officer manager. The circuit judge refused to recuse himself despite my pending federal lawsuit against him for official oppression and judicial misconduct. He denied my motion for a change of venue, citing my inability to get a fair trial, and he forced me to stand trial without legal counsel in violation of U.S. and Tennessee constitutions, Argersinger versus Hamlin, and the Maxwell case in Tennessee. I was prosecuted by a district attorney I was suing for malicious prosecution due to his conspiracy to add additional false charges in retaliation for my presenting the crimes committed by the shooter, arresting officer, and assistant district attorney to the grand jury. The district public defender, whose assistant overheard the conspiracy by the DA and his assistant, disclosed the conspiracy to me. I provided a copy of the recorded conversation to the FBI, who did nothing, to the U.S. attorneys, who refused to take it, and to the TBI, who laughed and said, "We work for the DA, Mike Donovan." I was convicted by jurors who lied under voir dire questioning, including the arresting officer's mother-in-law, who lied, and I was asked if she was when I asked if she was related to the arresting officer. The arresting officer was also a defendant in my federal lawsuit for official oppression. Another juror lied when I asked if he was employed by the Tipton County government, since I was suing the county executive and his job could be at risk if he did not find me guilty. I am an innocent man who was falsely convicted and railroaded into prison in 2009 because I refused to sell part of our land to a guy whose relative was in Tipton County government, because I then asked the Tipton County government to hold his accomplices who were responsible for terrorizing my family accountable, because I then ran for elective office and then sued to expose how they rigged the election. 10 years of our life has been stolen from Miss Parsons, and now they are trying to send me back to prison again by false charges for 10 years. Therefore, I ask that you exercise the power granted to you by the people and exonerate me of the false convictions of 2009. Doing so would eliminate the current false charge of unlawful possession of a gun. The fact is, I possess no gun, and there is no law against being in the vicinity of a gun. I would also ask for an investigation of the corruption in Tipton County that has and is destroying too many lives. Please see my bio, character references, affidavits of witnesses to the abuse by Tipton County, as well as new evidence provided by a review of this entire case by an impartial international court. Ambassador Michael Parsons, a live man under duress without prejudice. Tilshikutan Nation, country of Chilcotin. P.S. On August the 1st, 2017, I was forced to stand trial for failure to appear in Tipton County Court. Although state of Tennessee had no proof, I was directed to appear by a lawful authority as specified by TCA 39-16-609. I was convicted by a jury who refused to follow the statute, let alone the U.S. or Tennessee constitutions and treaties thereto. I was sentenced to 3 years in prison for what was previously considered contempt of court and would result in a maximum 10 days in jail and a $50 fine. Note to my fellow Americans, fellow patriots, and followers of Christ. Thank you for taking the time to review the letter I sent to Tennessee Governor Bill Haslam in February 2017. The facts therein are but a brief chronology of the travesty and abuse of a justice system that has been perverted by a corrupt old boy network that has taken control of the courts. Government of Tipton County, Tennessee. At this point, I see very few solutions short of an exoneration by the CEO of State of Tennessee Corporation, otherwise known as Governor Bill Haslam. As you know, the governor has the power to declare my innocence via an exoneration. Therefore, I ask that you prayerfully consider contacting Governor Bill Haslam and encouraging him to exercise the power entrusted to him by the we the people to exonerate me of the false charges. He can be reached by writing to Governor Bill Haslam, State Capitol, Nashville, Tennessee, 37243. Email bill.haslam@tennessee.gov. Phone 615-741-2001. Well, there you go. That's Mike Parsons. He's got his own website, mikeparsons.org. And I will say that the story sounds very similar. I mean, we're seeing these stories over and over again where people run for office, they win in a landslide, the election gets flipped. Sounds very similar to Jeffrey Winehouse. If they don't shoot you like they did Jeffrey Winehouse, they'll put you in prison when you would try to expose to corruption. And so we need to ask ourselves, are we going to sit back as this happens to our brothers and sisters throughout America? Or are we going to use our voices and try to do something about it and speak up? You say, well, they may come against you and me. Well, so be it. Let them try. We should put our trust in the Lord and not put our trust in the government. I would ask that you please write Mike Parsons a letter. His address is on yearofjubilee.com. It's right here, if you want to pause the video, West Tennessee Detention Facility. And especially as he goes through the Thanksgiving and Christmas holidays. For our brother Will, who has already reached out to him and written a letter as well as donated money, I can't say thanks enough. There are some really, really good Christian brothers out there and sisters too that are writing to these prisoners, and our accounting is with God, but I believe they're storing up their treasure in heaven. The last line of peaceful defense between a tyrannical government and the defendant is jury nullification. Educate yourself about jury nullification at fija.org.